Hello. Welcome to the YouTube channel for the Center for Critical Thinking at the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point. I'm Donna Warren, and I'm the director of the center. Today, I would like to talk for a little bit about the principle of charitable interpretation. Essentially, the principle of charitable interpretation says that we should always try to interpret somebody's positions or arguments in the best possible light. So, in my own discipline of philosophy, this means when I read someone's article, I should try to avoid attributing any serious errors in reasoning to the person. If I have a choice between reading a passage in a way that makes it fundamentally rational and a way that makes it basically irrational, I should absolutely choose the former rational interpretation. Why? Well, there are two good reasons. First, it's probably true. It's unlikely that the author of the argument has made any serious logical blunders. Second, it is certainly useful because think about it. If I criticize an argument on the basis of an error in reasoning that I have basically read into the text, that criticism can be easily rebutted by someone just pointing out to me that the error that I'm criticizing might not be there. In which case, I have wasted my time and possibly really compromised my own credibility. So, shouldn't do it. Assume that the person you're reading is rational. I think that the principle of charitable interpretation, as it applies in everyday context, carries that principle of rationality. I think that when we interact with each other every day, we should assume that the person with whom we are interacting is basically rational. But I think there's another assumption that everyday interactions require us to make if we are going to adhere to the principle of charitable interpretation. I think we also need to assume that the person who is engaging our attention is basically well-meaning, has basically good motives, is basically not culpably cruel or, callous or out to get us for the sake of it. We should assume that the other person has good intentions, or at least not bad ones. Why? Same reasons. I think it's probably true. There might be some people out there who are cruel, callous, out to get us for the sake of it, but I don't think there are very many. But second, even if I'm wrong, it is certainly useful to assume that the person we're talking to has good intentions. Why? Well, because that assumption will allow us to engage in dialogue. I don't want to talk to someone if I think they're basically mean and out to get me. If I think that someone is not mean and not out to get me, then even if I don't agree with what they're saying, I'll be willing to talk to them. And here's the deal. We are faced with problems as a society that are just too big for any one person to solve on their own. And by the way, I don't think that's just a fact about now. I think that is kind of characteristic of all of human history. I think that all the problems that society faces and probably always has faced are too big for one person. We need to, in order to address them in any meaningful way, kind of harness the power of our collective wisdom. But in order to do that, we need to have conversations. And in order to have conversations, we really need to assume the best of each other. So that's what the principle of charitable interpretation says. It's a good rule of thinking because it promotes dialogue. Dialogue is good because it promotes collective wisdom. Collective wisdom is good because it's the only thing that will allow us to solve any problem worth solving, in my very humble opinion. So, hurrah for the principle of charitable interpretation. I would love to know what you think about it. If you want to, drop me a note, leave something in the comments, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.